Well, that was an ending. That was an ending of an episode. If you missed the after credit scene, please pause this, go watch that real quick, and then come back, because there was a bit in the aftercast segment of, yes, Gwen going to Kowloon and it just being rebel, which we've already seen this before. We've seen some brief shots of like the little tea house place, and it's just everything in it's destroyed. It's given this sense that this place is gone. Like, it has been since gone. So currently, as it's kind of laying out, the current time frame right now, unless that was a jump forward again, the current time frame right now, Kowloon's gone. Kowloon does not exist. It is just nothing but rebel. The whole place is just destroyed, and Gwen's just walking into it like there's something there. Like, even the taxi driver is literally like, you want to go there? Okay, sure. Yep, as I expected. There's nothing here. Now, it's odd that initially it showed something there, and then it kind of, that little dust blows, and then it's gone. Similar in the manga, they both kind of portray it the same way, which, yes, could give you that sense of, like, this is what's supposed to be there, but it's not actually there. But it still goes to, and it's building up my theory, and with Kudou and his waking up and a panic and the earthquake happening, we had one earthquake early in the episode, which I don't think that was in the manga. So I think they were just trying to, like, sort of give us a show that this has happened before, and it happens on, a regular occasion. Either way, this is happening. Kudou seems to be implying that he is causing these earthquakes, which again would go into my theory with Gwen showing up at a rebel. I'm more sold in the idea that this is Kudou's world. This is his reality. And again, adding to my theory that this is sort of a distortion. That we had, probably my ongoing theory is that there was a Kowloon there, the Kowloon itself was destroyed, and then either Kudou went into the generic Terra, or because the generic Terra was there, it affected with him, something happened. A distortion in space happened, and Kudou is the center. Kudou, no matter what, he's in the core of it, and everything is being affected by him. Now, I was kind of jumping back and forth on if I wanted to believe that this world was going to be fabricated by the current Kujirai, Kujirai A, or if it was going to be Kudou. This is cementing for me, if the earthquakes are being caused by him, this is being created by him. And so, yeah, it's it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. But no, this episode was fantastic. I think a lot of my enjoyment in this episode was probably around a little bit in Hebinuma, which I thought was interesting. The idea that he goes this one variety show. The maids are all implying that he's got much softer face now that Gwen has been around. Obviously, the romance is making him so much more nicer. The two of them just are a special little couple. But yes, him going to a variety show. And I like the variety show, actually. I think I got a lot of mass credit for Hebinuma as a character, because yes, you see somebody like him as a snake. He's nasty. He's a bad person, but nothing really technically has indicated that he's a bad person. I mean, besides forcing his tongue down in Kujirai's mouth. I mean, that aside, we'll take that. We'll put it in a package. We'll just put it over here. But he's not a bad guy, seemingly, unless we start to get more into the generic Terra and what his involvement in that is, and if that is something malicious, or yes, even the clones that they're getting into. But anyways, in the actual variety show, it's cool. He seems like a decent person when it comes to at least plastic surgery, and the idea that he's all about, yes, we can take you, we can do this to you, we'll just bring the cheekbones in, you'll look nice and beautiful. And then she's like, can you do something about my smile? And he goes, well, you like puppies? Oh yeah, I like puppies. No, don't need it. You don't need it. Don't. I like the idea of just the natural beauty. You don't have to change everything. There is a natural beauty there that you can tap into. It's just all about your mentality. It's all about the heart, basically. I like that little idea of like, no, you have a perfectly good smile. Just use it. Use what you naturally have there. Just utilize your heart. And I like that was cute. But yes, that obviously gets into what people perceive as what Hebinuma is, or Miyuki is. And the idea that he is a second generation inheriting wealth. That yes, he has this beauty and the looks and all the money that he has, the power that he has, because of what he's inherited. This guy in this show, variety show, so you're going to have multiple people there, is taking jabs at him. And I like how he kind of just literally kicks back on the idea of, no, you always sacrifice something, which makes sense. If he wanted to mold himself to be Hebinuma, he had to sacrifice things. Again, what I got into with the skip content in the previous videos is that, yes, he had to get he got this whole tattoo all on his body. And again, he also portrayed his dedication to the Hebinuma family by cutting his tongue. It didn't imply that the father wanted that. He just literally in front of the father said, let me show you something else. And he cut his tongue just to show that, that willingness. So he's changed himself a lot. He has molded himself into what Hebinuma wants. So it is kind of implying the idea that, and we could get into this later on, it's not so much that Miyuki Hebinuma is a bad person. Again, we're leaving that French kiss in that box over here. It's not that Miyuki Hebinuma is a bad person. It could be the idea that he inherits what his father had, and his father's a nasty person. So the sacrifice that he makes in order to gain this purpose. And it could be what he's sort of looking to correct the company itself and where they're going. It could be in the clones. That could be the thing that he's trying to research in order to perfect or repair in some way for what's to come. Who knows? I might be digging a little bit too much into Hebinuma. He might not be that deep of a character in the overall story, but he does seem to be, I would say narratively wise, he seems to be like a 25% of the overall story is his importance. And the other 75 obviously being Kujirai and Reiko. A little bit here with Yaomei. A little bit here with Yaomei. I'm hoping you go get a little bit more Sohei, but that seems to be the case here. But anyways, that's all interesting there. And again, we do get to see later on that his father calls him up about the variety show. He has to go see him. Why that's important, and I don't think in the translation of the show that I watched, I don't think they actually had it in the scene. But yes, technically when he kicked that guy over, who would be obviously on a variety TV show, is probably somebody of either importance or a celebrity. It didn't look good because he kicked him over, guy busted his nose, and he even makes a comment about, oh, did you mess up your nose? Well, I can help you out with fixing that. Like, Miyuki wasn't looking good on the show. That's why they cut it away. So he's probably talking, you're making us look bad. What the hell did you do? Or again, he could be wanting to talk to him once again about the whole information getting out that seemingly Miyuki Hebinuma actually let out, that he's not the legitimate son. But anyways, we'll see. But yeah, other than that, piggybacking off of that, is most of this episode was around Yaomei, which I did really like. There is a little bit in here that does kind of apply to Kujirai, which is the fact that she's obviously trying to embrace the other self rather than trying to erase it or have herself erased. And this is something that Yaomei herself, again, for the most part in this series, has been sort of a piggyback off of Kujirai in the idea that she is somebody that had something before, but she wants to get rid of it. So there's a nice contrast between what Kujirai wants and what Yaomei wants, what they see their future is and their past. Kujirai doesn't have a past. She never had a past. That's why she can't really understand what Yaomei is going through. But yes, in this episode, we do at some point, after that whole variety TV show thing, Yaomei kind of pointing out the fact that she understands what he means. And the idea that, yes, typically whenever you gain something, everybody thinks it's great. You were handed everything. It's not all rosy. Like, there is an aspect that because you gain everything, because everything's handed to you, you get this silver spoon given to you, eat it up, but you're not able to choose something else. You're robbed of any other potential because you're expected to do this one thing. That typically does come with the idea of inheritance. The idea of, no, we're going to raise you. You're going to be the next person to take over the business, the family business. You want to be a doctor? No. You want to, be a teacher? Nope. You're going to be this. This is what you're going to be. Mold into that. And I think it was even more so solidified as we see what Yaomei is about, is, yes, this little pamphlet for this old film coming back. Obviously, it does say re-release of it, but it's like one of those things of like, yeah, because of how old Kowloon is, it's like, yeah, they probably just got this thing. It's new and fresh. But no, they're going to show this film. She doesn't want to see it. And then later on, Kujirai goes to see it, comes to see her. She's looking at some fabrics, and then, yes, points out the fact that she went and seen it. She really enjoyed it. And, oh, yeah, that fabric you have in your hands, it looks just like the dress that was being worn. Which this was an oddity. And again, this is, I think, even in the Crunchyroll translation, it doesn't really say it correctly here, but the manga does make more sense to me. And the idea that when Kujirai says that is the dress or the fabric, the pattern from the dress, Yaomei says specifically in the manga, oh, this isn't what I like. More pointing out the idea that Yaomei right there realized looking at that fabric, oh wait, this isn't something I like. This is something that mom liked. Yeah, it's in the film because that's what mom wanted me to like. It's literally her realizing that she's brainwashed into wanting something else. That this is her old self that molded to everything that mom wanted right there. Now, the outburst that Yaomei has with Kujirai here is a little bit odd to me. It doesn't make... I understand it, but I don't. And the idea that it feels like Yaomei gets angry at Kujirai because she's willing to be erased. She doesn't like that. And I think this is something that we've been building up for a long time now with Yaomei and Kujirai's relationship, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. I love how Yaomei wants to erase her past, but her past keeps coming back. Whereas Kujirai herself doesn't know her past and keeps trying to dredge it up. I think Yaomei is more frustrated here, specifically on the idea that she doesn't want Kujirai to be erased by that past coming back, similar to what Yaomei is dealing with. Right here, what I feel Yaomei is lashing out at Kujirai for is not realizing how dangerous the past is. Kujirai, why aren't you scared of Kujirai B? It can come back any moment and erase you. But at the same time, she is saying, weren't you busy with this thing? But I think that was more of her lashing out. I think the concern here is that she just doesn't want Kujirai to be erased, just like she's about to be erased. She feels that anxiety. She's afraid of something. You don't have an experience of your past constantly clawing at you. I do. You'd never understand me. You can never understand me. And rushes out. And rushing down the street. It's coming back to me. It's coming after me. It won't let me go. It's coming back after me. And then ultimately, when she gets back to the apartment, falling right into it. I love that symbolism of it, because I almost thought for a minute there that she literally... I didn't think that she was always wearing a wig, but there was like that sense there was like, did she just take off a wig and suddenly her hair's back to how it was before? No, this is all internal. Like, it's all internal. Like, I love that fact that, like, that later part where she finally has that realization and busts out the door, it's that transition straight back to her old self. She's right back to her old self. She was going into what mom wanted her to be and what she left behind, but the moment she came back out the door, she became this Yaomei again. She's no longer this person, which I thought was a very beautiful transition there. But yeah, I think that whole bit with her being locked up in there, and again, all those dredged up memories of her mom, which again, is this sad reality. And again, it's the whole Hebinuma thing. This idea that yes, her whole life, the expectation for her is to be her mom. And this sucks. This idea that you can't be yourself, that you're being molded in this thing, and you just assume because you've been groomed as a child, this is what you're going to be. Like, mom did this, she expects you to do this. And it just basically is mom's just making another of herself. She's literally just, I have a Barbie doll here that I birthed, and I'm just going to make it into me. I know how to make it successful because I'll just make it into whatever I was. I was really successful, so here's how to make you successful. Oh, your earrings? No, use this one. Oh, but I like the other earrings, but that's what mom said. Mom said do this. Oh, your hair this way? Okay, that's what mom said. I'm going to do that. I never got to be what I wanted to be. I never got to have what I wanted to have. And it's sad. It is a sad reality, and so it makes sense as to why Yaomei ultimately chose, I gotta get away from that. I gotta get the hell away from that. And yes, I am acknowledging that does mean that my theory of Yaomei being Kujirai B is dead. Throw that out. I mean, it still could be, but I doubt it at this point. But yeah, that theory can go out the door. It's just a runaway actress. She didn't want to be her mom. She wanted to be her own thing. And again, it all makes kind of sense there. I do like that whole conversation that Kujirai has with Yaomei outside that door, because it's almost like, and this was to Kujirai's entire episode about Yaomei, is the idea that I can't understand her because I don't have a past. Like, Yaomei is dealing with the past. How do I understand that? And I can't. What do I do? What do I give her? I like that she eventually chooses the thing that she gave her when they basically first met. But yeah, the little cakes. She likes them, so I'm going to bring those out. But again, I do like this whole conversation outside the door because it's Kujirai expressing that she can't understand. I'll never be able to understand, but at the same time, not denying what Yaomei's going through. I think that's the key thing there. Yaomei's saying, you can't come in here because I'm not what you'd expect. Again, it's Yaomei falling back into her old self. You expect me as Yaomei. Right now, I'm my mom, basically. Right now, I'm a mom. I won't look like that. But she asks, what do you think I look like? And she says, you're lively, you're confident, you're proud, you're attractive. You clearly state your mind. I like the fact that Kujirai is pointing out things that are personality. It's not looks. Yeah, you have this beautiful flowing hair. Your eyes are beautiful blue. No, it's your personality. But Yaomei realized that a lot of that is the things that she's created since she's come here. That's not the real me. The real me is nothing to do with any of that stuff. I'm actually somebody that's always worried about my parents. I'm always trying to be what they want to be. I'm a coward in the end. I'm fake. The one that you know is actually fake. But again, Kujirai doesn't respond by saying you're wrong about all that stuff. She says, okay, if that's what you say, that's fine. It can't be a lie. But you said that you saw real sparkles. You said that even in a fake thing, you saw those sparkles. Is that a lie too? No. That's what kind of tricks it. No, that's that's the thing that I've always kind of lived on. That's the thing that I've always lived on. And again, I love that scene with Yaomei and Kujirai previously with them in the bed and how she's holding up that thing that is a fake diamond. But it still sparkles, right? It still sparkles. I want to find that. I always want to look for that thing. In fake things, I still want to see what makes it valuable. That's the thing. That's what makes it special. It's really good stuff. I love Kujirai and Yaomei's story together. I think, just throw Kudou off the side. This is what I like about the show. Like these two right here. It's just such good stuff. And I like how they kind of book in that whole scenario with them going to the earrings. Because yes, it is a play off of what Yaomei did with her mother. The idea that she wanted this one thing. The mom said, no, wear this one. But I like the other one. But mom said this. And it's right here. Kujirai is basically saying, choose the one you want. Whatever one you want. Whatever one. Oh, that one? That would look beautiful on you. Is accepting what she would want. Which is an interesting contrast to previously when we had that one scene where Kujirai decided that she wanted to wear earrings. And Yaomei's like, this one. This is the one that Kujirai B would wear. I'm surprised it didn't call it out. But literally way back there, when they were first, buying earrings, Yaomei chose something that Kujirai B would wear. Again, she's just helping her. I don't think there was like a malicious intent there, but it's kind of like a little bit of a, really, girl? Back there, I thought that Yaomei was responding the way that she did because Kujirai wanted to look like Kujirai B. And she was going, oh, she's accepting her old self. She doesn't want to be her new self. But I do feel like there may have been a moment right there where she thought, I'm acting like my mom. Acting like my mom. What else did we have in this episode? Yeah, the whole thing around Kudou and him killing Kujirai. Again, I'm really feeling like that's going to be like an oops. I did have some weird theory that there's a possibility that he brought somebody in, brought the real Kujirai in, and it erased the fake Kujirai in this reality. But now with my shifted theory to the idea that Kudou is in the center of a distorted reality under the generic Terra, I don't think that's going to be the case. He wouldn't be able to pull somebody in there. It's probably going to be more the idea that Kujirai B's death is what triggered this distortion in reality. And I'm wondering if there's a possibility that the aspect of the clones and the generic Terra and this distorted alternate reality that is right here of Kowloon is all connected. In the idea that what if Kudou is one of the first generations of these clones and it broke. And it broke. And now that's why Hebinuma Miyuki is now going into this place constantly, is because he wants to know more about what the hell's happening. Because Kudou is a clone and it blew up. And so he's got to figure out how it blew up and fix it before they make more of them. That's an interesting thought there as well. The mystery novel was an interesting thing too. And again, that also applied to my thoughts about Kudou and the idea that, yes, when Kujirai finds this mystery novel, she goes to try to find more volumes of it. They go to this one old shop, this used shop, which, by the way, Zohei is working there. This girl's working so many places. Super sus, the fact that she's a part-timer everywhere. Like, everywhere they go, they need a part-timer. She's there. She's just the insert character. Like, she's just the copy-paste NPC. But no, when they went in there, they found the book, the second volume. But it quickly turned to gibberish. Which does make me believe that, yes, even though Kudou is claiming that he knows the ending of it, I'm wondering if possibly this is how much he read of it before it ended. Now, it could be the idea that, Kujirai B, that's how much she read before she died, and thus it's playing out that way. But again, because I believe that Kudou is the center of this place, it will only show as much as he knows. Because even with the other book, he says that he knows in it, it's outdated. It's almost like it's implying that everything that's being read in there is as much as Kudou has read. Which that would be odd, because that means that Kudou has read a lot of stuff. But again, it goes back to the idea that it seems like everything of this place forms around him. If something is out of whack, if something is not normal, if something is new, he doesn't want it changing. It constantly is reset to this point that he wants. And again, possibly because of how things are progressing, that world itself is also shrinking, which could also play into the idea that the distortion is going to end eventually, is why, certain alleyways are being blocked off, is because this reality is slowly collapsing on itself. That'd be interesting as well. I will admit there was a side of me that almost wanted to kind of overthink or analyze into what exactly Kujirai was reading in that book that apparently Kujirai B had read. But it sort of felt like it was trying to push towards misdirection, the idea that this novel has some secret about how Kudou killed her. Because that's obviously where Kujirai is going. She's going with this. I mean, she pictured Kudou playing out the role of the killer in this mystery novel. I don't think it's going that direction. I think this is sort of trying to play into that. It's trying to push in that direction. But it would kind of make you feel like, again, if Kudou has read this book, that he may have probably stopped that point because he didn't like it. Because I think it was playing into like this idea of her going up and murdering her and maybe going into the second volume. That's where it gets too close to comfort for him and he doesn't like it. It is playing out a scenario of the death of somebody and he's envisioning it in some way. I don't know. But I do believe that either way, I think it is something that he himself has read. And again, I think that's kind of a little bit misdirection to the idea of, and where Kujirai is going, of overthinking that this is a murder. That Kudou literally murdered her. I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, based on what Gwen said, how he's explaining it, it seems very unpleasant. But at the same time, it's not a case of like, Gwen didn't say, yeah, Kudou just murdered her. That bastard. He totally killed. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that. Gwen obviously knew they probably liked each other. But yeah, the other interesting thing, and that wasn't really covered in the anime, is when she does look at the book about the worlds, it shows in the anime that it cuts over to him with Kujirai B, and he says that Kujirai B is not interested in anything besides Kowloon, which she agrees. Additionally, in the manga, later on, there is this conversation about the goldfish, and the idea that, yes, Kujirai A has a goldfish now. And so he does kind of question if she is looking at this book about the worlds, does Kujirai A eventually want to travel the world? And she says, yeah, I want to travel around the world. That'd be great. And he's like, but you have a goldfish. Would you leave the goldfish behind? She says, no, I'll take him everywhere I go. We'll always be together forever. Which does, again, is another aspect of sort of going against what he sees Kujirai B as. This new Kujirai is not acting like Kujirai B. Kujirai B did not like goldfish. She didn't want a goldfish. She said, don't buy me a goldfish because I don't like being tacked down. And I think that sort of does probably play into why her apartment was so plain. There is a sense here that even though it seems like Kujirai B loves Kowloon and never wants to leave it, it seems like she's also set up to the idea that she is able to move when she wants. She doesn't like to have things in her apartment that tax her down. She doesn't want a pet. She doesn't want a bunch of oddities. She doesn't want a bunch of stuff in her apartment because she doesn't like the idea of being shackled. And now, again, I do see that as sort of a counter to the fact that she doesn't want to leave and explore the world. She always wants to be in Kowloon. But it could be the idea that she just likes the idea of freedom, and maybe she wants to move somewhere else in Kowloon. But yeah, the episode wraps up with Kudou having his little dream about going to the tea house. It was the first time he brought her there, which was interesting, the fact that he was the one that introduced her to there. Because again, she was there first when he arrived or transferred in. He said that he originally didn't like it because he thought it was a curse having to go to Kowloon. But then, of course, he feels blessed now because, or was that it was luck and fate because he was able to meet Kujirai B. But yes, he was apparently the one that introduced her there, which is interesting if you think about it, because you would assume that she would have known about this place. It seems like she knows about everything there. It's a smash hit. She's doing her little watermelon thing, talking about the whole quirk again, and apparently pointing out here that, yes, quirks are something that usually other people have to point out. And so she's like, well, I'll find something for you. Well, it specifically says something that people that are close to you find. And she says, well, since I'm close to you, I guess I'll find it before she leaves. And yes, says that it's fate. Specifically, and you would assume this is the current Gwen, specifically says you're in love with Kowloon. And that's what makes Kudou wake up. The manga doesn't have that. Then the manga, they have a little spout after that. So I don't think it's the fact that he's saying that you're in love with Kowloon is what makes him wake up and panic. I think it's just the memory that he's having makes him wake up, and he just doesn't like it. It's an uncomfortable feeling, and thus the earthquakes. It would be interesting if that was like, that was the point when it's all collapsed again. Like this has been rebuilt, and they've been living in it, and then right there at the end of the episode, he wakes up, and the earthquake, and the place collapses again. I don't think that's the case. Again, I think the whole place has always been collapsed, and it's just some twisted, warped world that, again, every time he panics, is going to have an earthquake. Anyway, super interesting stuff. Looking forward to the next episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed my impressions of episode 5. Yeah, 5 of Kowloon Generic Romance. If you like this video, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know the style of the episode. Again, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support channel more, links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, you'll take care.